Hello and welcome to our review of the second episode for the sixth season of the 100. It was called Red Sun Rising, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of fast paced, and there weren't too many things that happened. There weren't like too many places that they went. They had the people on the surface kind of in that one location the entire time, and then they had like a pretty interesting little shootout with the people in the spaceship, which I really enjoyed. I actually thought that was the better part of the episode. The stuff with Raven and Dioza, the stuff with Octavia, not the biggest fan of, where she was like trying to get herself killed. That was kind of weird. I noticed that there's a bit of a theme of that with her and Clark, who are just like got so much regret that they'd rather just like end it, which is like sad to see. Like, and not really doesn't really add that much to the episode. I thought it was like they kind of distracted from what I thought was more interesting, which is kind of like the team up of Dios and Raven, and how quickly Dioza just kind of like formulated her plan to retake the bridge, and how she's doing that based off of previous experience. I think you said that you felt like it was not too much happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, seems like while we were watching, we both predicted things that would happen on the ground. Accurately, we predicted them, and then but everything that happened like in the spaceship, I was kind of more surprised by. So I don't know if they just got lazy with the writing about the Earth. You know what I mean, though?
Like, yeah, you predicted they were gonna lock themselves up with those restraints. They had them out. It was just kind of like a logical thing to do. I thought it was funny how you're
Mhm.
like, it's kind of like werewolves, and then we were like, oh, there we go, yeah.
It is like werewolves. You've already heard me ranting about Bad Moon Rising, but that's totally connected.
hmm I thought the line about the embryos was interesting. I mean, it's not quite cloning, but they have like people that they can just like get when they need them if like things go really wrong. So it's kind of like cloning. It feels like I almost predicted that, but it's also kind of different,
Mhm.
and we also don't know the
You've been
extent
talking
to how
about
that
clones
works.
for
What?
you've been talking about clones for like 4 or 5 seasons now.
No, just since the end of the
Haven't you?
last one, I think. I don't think I brought it up before we wrapped it. Maybe. I mean, I could be wrong. I thought all this stuff with the family, when like they brought up the embryos, that stuff was really interesting for me. Like Josephine seems kind of like nasty. Like they didn't want you to like her. They obviously don't want her to be just like a person you root for, because they introduced her by explaining that she used kids as guinea pigs to see if like they would be poisoned by the local wildlife. Not really the best thing to do. And
Oh, that was a joke though.
maybe
It was like that's the kind of character I'm not a fan of. It's like the ones that are like, I'm so smart, I can make jokes that aren't funny to you know, compensate for my like lack of personality. I don't know. Whatever.
I didn't take it as a joke, but looking back on it, it very well could have been. And I just was like, okay, she's a bit crazy. Like she's just like seems like a bit like a crazy kid, but she was
Well,
probably joking.
she's a geneticist, so theoretically she could have just tested and found if it was poisonous or not, right?
Well, also theoretically, they wouldn't have all walked onto the planet and then been like, "Oh, I guess the air is breathable." Like that was kind of a weird thing to do in the beginning of the first episode, but like you kind of overlook some of these things for storytelling purposes, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So
I
that's
mean,
that's
her parents were pretty calm after she said she possibly poisoned all the kids, so that's why I think it's a joke.
but they may not die like we die. I think there's a strong possibility that these scientists that we saw all kind of die at the beginning of the episode weren't like actually dead for good, because um, their family, the mom, the dad, the daughter, and I would assume husband is from the beginning of the episode. The people that were on the spaceship were the people that we saw at the beginning, because um, they people who first came there, the primes as they call them, were probably Nightbloods. They probably were able to pass down their knowledge kind of the way that commanders have been. I think all four of them have helped like build this society, and they are the primes, the people that that everybody turns to for leadership, kind of like the commanders of, or the commander's commander back on Earth. Does that make any sense? Like that they would use these people that landed and their knowledge to kind of like help bring
Mm-hmm.
about the next generation.
Yeah.
And like she wanted to keep their bodies safe, right? The bodies of the dead people, because I think there's chips in their heads that they're gonna re-implant into people. I don't know who and how that's done on this new planet. Maybe these kids are all Nightbloods that we saw at the end, all those kids that walked up, or maybe like there's only some people that can become primes or whatever you call them, and they're
Mm-hmm.
in embryo form elsewhere. I'm really interested to learn more. I thought like they gave just enough information to like satisfy my questions that I already had and bring about so many more. I also got in here that I like the bikes at the beginning. I like the bikes that the doctor lady, the teenager lady, and her doctor boyfriend, who I assume becomes her husband. Um, I like those bikes that they were riding around on. I think we're going to see some more motorcycles, kind of like how there was like those Jeeps that we saw a lot on Earth. I think the motorcycles will be a bit of a theme for this planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that was pretty cool.
What else? Most of the stuff I have from the beginning of the episode is just like got some stuff about how I thought it was really cool how Dioza was like, spare me the details, just like the necessary stuff, and came up with that plan to ambush those two, like, and just like immediately ended half of the threat there. Like after waking up after being awake for like 30 seconds, she just tackled half the problem, and then came up with a pretty cool like solution. Oh, the
Yeah.
joint hallucination was cool. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
like you know how there's literature and people sharing hallucinations, but it's like it's kind of shaky on like how
Mm-hmm.
like accurate that stuff really is, and how much people are just kind of like, well, this person told me that they're saying this, and now I kind of see that, and I think that we're seeing the same thing, but it's just a, it's a trick on the mind. But I think on this planet, they obviously are able to share hallucinations. Like you just suspend your disbelief of it and be like, oh yeah, they were able to do that somehow on this planet. Like once
You know,
they're
it would be
exposed to it.
crazy if like that the guy who was like in the trailer and stuff is like actually controlling the like toxin or whatever, and like forcing everyone to have these like ideas and like timing it and like basically just like playing puppet, orchestrating the whole thing. That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
don't think that's what's happening, but that would be kind of cool.
Amori wasn't outright like hostile to Echo, which is like something I found to be interesting. Like maybe this like toxin actually doesn't make everybody hostile to everyone, but it kind of like divides people up into groups. Like otherwise, how would they keep surviving? I guess these embryos would
It
really help.
it did make everyone hostile though.
Yeah, I guess she was still kind of hostile. She just didn't have the opportunity to like get at Echo. She just seemed to be like talking like she was on her side a little bit. Like, don't trust Bellamy. He's gonna kill us. We got to fight together to keep him out, or like work together. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then she just had a maniacal laughter, so maybe she's just protecting herself however way she could. I liked how Maddie jumped out of the vents at the end, because like I didn't think about her at all. I just was like, oh, well, that's convenient. That definitely saves the day.
Yeah,
Thanks, Maddie.
I I totally forgot about Maddie. She hasn't been in like the first two episodes until then, so I was like, whatever. Even though they talked about her earlier in that episode, but
I liked how Dioza said something about like, well, unless you're like a child, like you're not going to be able to fit through those vents. And it's like I didn't even think, oh yeah, Maddie, she can fit
did
in
she?
those vents.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that she said that.
She said to Raven like if like there was a quieter way we'd do it, and Raven's like, can we go through the vents? And she's like, if you're like a child basically, then you could fit
Mm-hmm.
up there, but unless you can't, then you got to put on this suit and pretend to be this lady's husband, which is like,
Yeah.
I guess,
Wait,
I think
I'm
that's like,
confused. Was Maddie awake already or no?
I don't know if they showed that she was awake at that point. I think that's just something that we like. I'm pretty sure she wasn't in the last episode. I think that's something that we weren't really supposed to be aware of as an audience member, that she had been woken up, but it makes sense that she was awake. But at the same time, why hadn't anybody noticed that she wasn't awake? Like Abby said something like, "Oh yeah, Raven's out there," but she didn't say, "Oh yeah, Raven and Maddie are out there," right?
Yeah.
So,
So did Raven have that idea when Diosa said you have to be a kid and like actually let her out? Because that makes it way cooler than
mhm.
just like, you know,
I don't think that's the case, but that's what they should have done. Yes.
yeah. Well,
Maybe Raven should have been just like, "High five, kid. Good job. We did it."
mhm.
Like that was just edit that in that extra
They'd be
scene.
surprised. Yeah.
That sounds like a fun thing. But I was thinking about how like Dioza kept mentioning how Shaw and Raven were soft, and we found out at the end that now Raven knows Shaw's dead, and I remember you and me were talking about whether or not she'd find out soon, or if they'd kind of be separate. And I think I said to you, I'm pretty sure whatever happens here is going to lead to everybody waking up, or everybody going down to the ground, like maybe a crash landing. I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad they still have this spaceship in case they need to like potentially even leave this planet for a new one. But who knows?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, Raven's gonna need to toughen up. I think this season, now that Shaw's gone, like she's still in a lot of ways soft compared to Dioza and other characters who've been more ruthless, and I think that's kind of been her personality. I don't think that it's part of her character arc to make her like a tough person, but maybe that's where they're going to go with her this season. They definitely had her train with Echo and get some
Mhm.
combat skills for a reason. They want to make her a fighter and less of like a pushover who just kind of loses things. And at the same time,
Yeah.
they killed Shaw like almost immediately. When that happened, I was like, oh yeah, this feels like the 100 Raven suffering. But at the same time, like that didn't
I
seem to
wonder
be
if
what they
Raven
wanted to do
will.
with her.
Yeah. I wonder if she'll like team up with Octavia and like, you know, learn the ground crew like fighting skills or whatever. That could be kind of interesting because they've both been like wronged so many times. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it makes sense to me that they would work together more. I like those
Mhm.
characters, and I think that they could actually like learn from each other. Like Octavia's gone down a darker path, and Raven hasn't been able to go down
Yeah.
like anything like that. She's just kind of like she's very moral. She's got like a point where she won't like do things. She's got a threshold that she just says like, no, this is unacceptable. Like we don't kill our own. When it was Finn and Clark did that because it had like it was better for the society. Like she
Hmm.
would rather doom the society and take the moral stance than like yeah, do the pragmatic thing. And that might cost her a lot in this season. I think we might start to see some stuff like that. Like she needs to be more pragmatic to keep people alive. And who knows? Maybe she may just end up with Jordan and end up being like the good couple, kind of like Monty and Harper were. I don't
Wait,
know.
Jordan, Monty, and Harper's kid?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who he's gonna be his love interest, but I think it's probably not Raven.
Wait, how old is he supposed to be? Maybe like they wait like 5 years and then him and Maddie get together.
Yes, maybe he's Maddie's love
Well,
interest. Yeah, you know what?
I mean,
That would be logical, actually. I hadn't thought
that makes
about
the
that.
most sense to me because like who else is he gonna bang? No one wants to bang their friend's kid,
Their friend's kid.
even if the timing it makes more sense. Yeah. It's true.
It's very true. I mean, like they never knew this kid growing up, and their friend did grow up to be
But it's
100,
still
and it's
like,
a messy
ugh, like
situation. But like he's gonna have to, yeah. I don't know.
he's gonna
That's a
have to
good point.
bang somebody.
I
Is
don't
that what
know.
you?
Poor guy. Poor guy. Oh, I did like I just saw in my notes. I really liked Murphy's line when, or not Murphy. Bellamy's line to Murphy when he called him the court jester, because it reminded me of how he always calls or called Clark princess, and it was just kind of like that medieval theme, you know. It was bringing me back to that. And then like these four Nightbloods, which I think are the primes, are probably not going to have that kind of structure. I think they're going to be more of like a what you call it when you got a couple people running the show, not like a monarchy, but like an oligarchy or something like that. Does that make any sense?
Uh, sure.
Yeah, like they're not gonna be. It's gonna be maybe more like semi-democratic, but not really democratic. It's just gonna be like a council that gets to make the calls, and I think there's gonna be like a strong distinction between them, that group, and maybe other groups. I don't know if we've met everybody on the planet yet, but it does seem like the four people on the planet were very closely tied to Sanctum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I did
like
not like that line when they named Sanctum. I was like, this is so like lame. I'm pretty sure I was like, ugh, while we were watching it. Because
yeah,
it just sounds, I know the perfect name. The Latin root for sanctuary. It's like, oh my God. Like, how original.
it's okay.
Stupid. I did not like that, but whatever.
It's possible the one of the four invaders or whatever you call them, the one that they didn't kill, is that girl. Like that's Josephine or whatever from the beginning of the episode. Because
You think that's possible? I mean, oh right, you're right. With the chip, right.
if they get resurrected, the younger ones don't necessarily have to be like the younger couple, right? The older ones
Mhm.
could be like have just been resurrected in younger bodies, and maybe that's why
Whew,
the
yeah.
young one was like, "That's my husband," you know? Like, who knows if how these four relate to the original family? Because we only saw like a daughter, a mom, and a father, and who knows who the fourth one is, right? But my assumption is that they're two like married couples that are essentially the primes.
Hmm.
I'm super bummed that Murphy's sick. I hope he's okay. I think he'll be fine. Did you see that at the end of the episode? How he had like little things on his chest. It looked like he had like
No.
black blood vessels or something like out on his chest or
Oh
something.
god.
He was in the water, and I think the water's probably not good for him. That's my theory that I'm thinking. They may have to make him into a Nightblood, which would be cool. He should be a Nightblood. It seems like him and
That would be
Clark
cool.
are gonna be friends, right?
I don't know. You were saying a lot of things about Clark earlier. She's
But
gonna bang that guy. She's gonna bang that guy.
yeah, maybe you're and Murphy are gonna be a thing. I don't know. Probably not. No, and Maury and Murphy for life, right?
Yeah. Memory.
Maury. Okay. I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Did I leave out anything that you wanted to talk about?
No.
Cool. All right. Yeah, we'll do another one of these next week. See you then.